For many years, our primary mission has been really transforming lives and providing prisoners and the people who work with them, whether they're corrections professionals or outside volunteers, with what we can assess to be the most effective tools for self-rehabilitation, personal transformation, really trying to give prisoners more choices so that they can turn their lives around, hopefully get out, stay out, and have a good life for themselves.
So Path of Freedom is our curriculum, training prisoners in this curriculum for since, I don't know, maybe 10 years. We did this in Colorado and now here. And we've trained several hundred facilitators in how to deliver the curriculum. And then it's a mindfulness-based, emotional intelligence curriculum. Learning forgiveness skills, communication skills, deep listening, conflict resolution skills, and emotional intelligence skills, which would include how to, down-regulate your emotions so that you're not getting into sticky situations, working with the spectrum of feelings, thoughts, behaviors, impact, and consequences. So developing ability to see gaps in between that spectrum so that you can make really much more positive social choices.
So this week is about empowerment, about power, unhealthy use of power, healthy use of power.
On top of our nice upright spine, remember that sense of strong back and soft open front, how they go together. You can't have one without the other.
To give people some place to be free inside themselves is a beautiful gift. Programs like meditation are fulfilling an essential need for people who have in the past lived lives that have been pretty chaotic. You take someone who, theoretically at least, is average intelligence and has the capability of being rehabilitated, and instead of doing that work with that person, you lock them up for 30 years and you make them a better criminal. We all lose if we don't do everything we can while people are incarcerated and use that incarceration period as a window of opportunity and actually make them a productive member of our community.
From the beginning, we've had a Books Behind Bars program. We get probably thousands of letters a year from prisoners who are requesting resources. So we've always sent donated books to prisoners. We send several thousand books a year to prisoners, free of charge, and to prison libraries. We're also a networking organization, so we have 175 organizational members. We do community building, so we have a large community of people, thousands of people around the world who are doing this type of mindfulness-based prison work, yoga in prisons, meditation in prisons, dharma in prisons.
The volunteers that we have come from all kinds of backgrounds, but they all have a strong interest in meditation. They all have a strong practice, so that's sort of the one piece that unites all of the volunteers is a commitment to their own meditation practice.
How we treat those who are incarcerated is really a huge indicator of how we view our culture.
Viktor Frankl, the psychologist and Holocaust survivor, said everything can be taken from a man but his freedom to choose his own attitude in a given situation. I mean, that's been really influential to me going through this material week after week, time and time again.
I don't think most of us realize how much impact our out of control, really, prison system has had on this country. It's evolved into a self-perpetuating industry that sociologists call the prison industrial complex. Well, the money's come out of healthcare, it's come out of education, it's come out of all the kind of social programs that would keep people from going to prison in the first place or heading down that path. It has really impacted all of our lives. The states are facing shutting down prisons, downsizing their system, having to release prisoners earlier, sometimes under court mandate. And so there's people in corrections, both at the policy level and at the professional corrections level are starting to take a fresh look and realizing we have to do a better job. Society is going to start demanding that we do a better job, get better outcomes. You know, recidivism rates in many states, the rearrest rates in many states is as high as 65 or 70%. You know, it's just that revolving door that everyone talks about. So I think there's a possibility of a shift. And where we're trying to impact that shift is to do the research to establish mindfulness-based interventions of various kinds, whether it's mindfulness-based emotional intelligence programs like our own, mindfulness-based stress reduction programs, mindfulness-based yoga, mindfulness-based cognitive behavioral programs, as evidence-based practice for corrections.
We see what I think is a strong trend that inmates going into the program have high levels of stress and anxiety, both what we call personality characteristics as well as temporary states of anxiety. When they exit the program after 3 months, we see that their levels of stress and anxiety actually mimic scores that normal working adults would have. So that trend is pretty consistent both with the men and the women that we have pre-tested and post-tested. So this has a positive effect on them, I would say long-term, being able to manage their stress and anxiety in ways that they were never able to do before.
In our pilot work, we did a small randomized trial with about 32 people and found that people who were randomized to the path of freedom were less likely to use drugs than people who were in the control group. The next step would be, first of all, to get funding to be able to do the research and to do a large randomized trial. We'd like to see if we have a group of people who are interested in doing the path of freedom, if we randomly assign them to either the path of freedom or control education videos or educational counseling or group sessions, who does better after they get out.
I'm able to listen now and allow someone to speak before interrupting them and letting my own thoughts come into their conversation. Before I couldn't take any criticism. I'm ready to jump down your neck if you said something I didn't like, but meditation has helped me to listen and take some constructive criticism.
It helped me to be present. It helped me to understand myself better so that I could understand others.
I think one of the primary reasons that we should all care what's going on with our correction system and whether we're doing a good job with the people who are in our prisons or not is that, like it or not, approximately 700,000 prisoners are released into our communities every year. And they're returning to our neighborhoods, they're living in our communities, and we have to hope that they're coming out better than they went in. We certainly want to hope they're not coming out worse than when they went in. And in many cases, the way our system is currently set up, they are coming out worse. They're coming out angrier, bitter, institutionalized, less resourced, and that presents a real danger to us as a community. We have to really be invested that they're going to come back to our communities better than they went in. In fact, I think there's a possibility that they can come back as people who have a lot to give to the communities that they came from. This kind of work isn't something that a lot of society gets or values. We're hoping to change that. But there are people out there who really get what we're doing and value what we're doing, and we couldn't do the work without their support.